Additionally, Joseph says the Badi Chaussee multipurpose court is a clear example of where there is a will, there is a way.
The people told me, the young people, I met with them, we had discussions. They said every parliamentarian would know, promised us that they will build something for us. But at the end of the day, they always tell us they cannot find someone to build something. And so we scouted the community. The young people walked around with me. They showed me all places and we tried, and we could not get something.
Because of the topography of the area, the only suitable location was on a slope, a seemingly impossible task, but to whom many votes were given, many projects are expected.
The idea was, when we started, I said, look here, I need to build a court at least 100 feet by 80 feet, if I can get, or 100 feet by 60 feet, whatever size. We realized that we had to go half of it on pillars. So I said, well, if I'm going to put it on pillars, why not just utilize the decking as a roof and build below? Because you don't have a community center in the area.
The best architectural and engineering brains were gathered for their expert opinion, which led to the construction of what must be the only sporting facility in St. Lucia on pillars.
I see this as a signature project because my colleague ministers have said they can no longer look for excuses for their constituents when they say it cannot be done.
Effective representation in many instances is the ability to deliver on simple projects that makes the lives of residents a bit easier. It is clear that his humble and underprivileged background further amplifies the desire to deliver on these simple projects.
This for me is a small but significant project just because of the impact it has created on the lives of people living beyond this point. This river always posed problems for the residents, but today the construction of this bridge, it has changed the lives of everyone who live across the river.
Additionally, miles of vital footpath and roads have been constructed during his tenure.
Signature projects for me are not necessarily big projects. The roads I've been able to build in this community, these are signature projects for me. The footpaths that I've been able to build and the way that we construct them so that a wheelchair, as much as possible, we reduce the number of steps. So if the ambulance has to go there with a stretcher, they can roll a stretcher from one end of the footpath to the other end.
They say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Perhaps these residents can shed light on its taste.
For 18 years, where I live, we always been getting flooding, and from Hurricane Thomas, the water went in our house, we lost furniture and stuff like that. So what he did was he backfilled, meaning that the water not coming in our house anymore. And I find that to be a very good thing. He will turn the river by widening it by the bridge side, and he's always there. He made a river bank for us because we didn't have that. So to me, he did a very good job.
Lemon well, vessel. Moi dis ça son pays va nous personne. Mais une quantité devastation il y a quasi. Moi dis pays site ça a quitté ça dans l'autre place. Et que lemon aller à nos meeting, moi passe en Mac. Moi descend chimé version pour entrer en bas. Moi dis quoi pièce dont pas ça faire ça. C'est bon Dieu qui fait ça. Pays a bien comme il overnight. Ça va ici à recommander. Recommendation tout partout là c'est bon.
The United Workers' Party's 2011 campaign theme is "One good term deserves another." Joseph took the opportunity to thank the registered voters of Castries Southeast for affording him the opportunity to represent them and highlighted some of the projects he aims to accomplish if re-elected. The construction of the Forestier Human Resource Development Center, the construction of the Bexor Human Resource Center, the lighting of the Bexor playing field, the implementation of an ecotourism project which links the road from Forestier to Den Riviere, the establishment of a horseback riding trail from Piton Floor to the Badlil, the Cul-de-sac Community Center, construction of a new bridge to the Bexon Primary School, construction of a police station and fire station in Bexon, construction of the Tuapiton Multipurpose Court. He also assures residents of the construction of the Odessa Community Center and the creation of a new cemetery within the constituency. Joseph says he is also quite excited about one other unconventional project which he hopes will spread into other constituencies.
We are doing unique designs for every street and alley, every road in Castries Southeast. Somebody will know the name, and on our website you will be able to Google where that place is.
He adds that visitors to the Castries Southeast website would also be able to find information about population, ethnic background, history, and ongoing projects within the community. This is in keeping with a proposal put forward to the Ministry of Local Government to allow Castries Southeast to have its own village council because what presently obtains is woefully inadequate.
I believe it is good for decentralization and for putting in some of the affairs of the constituency in the hands of the constituents. So it did not happen this time around, and a lot of this, you know, we went into budget focusing on the Hurricane Thomas and the recovery efforts that we were undergoing, and so we had to hold back on pushing for this at this point in time. But it is something that is in the pipeline and will happen.
But his plans for the area do not stop there. The healthcare service within Castries Southeast is expected to get a shot in the arm.
I wanted the doctor in Bexon Health Center because it can cater for Sarod, Bele, Wavin Poisson, Lacroix, Badney, Forestier, all of these people. So on the regular days, you'd still have the doctor at the Tiroche Health Center. You'd still have at the Lacroix Health Center and these different areas. But throughout the rest of those, this doctor should be available in at least 1 or 2 health centers in the constituency so that people can go in there and know that these services are readily available.
Castries Southeast, like many other constituencies in St. Lucia, has been the recipient of what seems like a never-ending list of donations and grant funding from the government of Taiwan.
The court that was built in Badney, the entire court and the center was built with the Taiwanese aided funds. The computer lab in Forestier was built with the Taiwanese funds. One of the bridges, one of the 4 bridges that we, let me see, 1, 2, 3. One of the 3 bridges that we built in Mac was built with the Taiwanese funds. In terms of, there's a road in Chopin, the entire road from cutting the road, putting in the drains, the asphalt, everything was done. A number of the footpaths that we have done is through these funds. Some of the houses that we have built, the majority of houses that we have built in the constituency, they have assisted computers that we have placed in the schools. We now have 5 interactive whiteboards that we have purchased with projectors and everything, one for each of the primary schools in Castries Southeast, which the Ministry of Education is now assisting with the installing of the technical expertise in the installing of these. We have free children playgrounds that we are in the process of mounting up. The lighting of the expansion of the court in Wavin Poisson, the lighting up of it is part of the Taiwanese funded project. There are so many of them that sometimes you forget all the things.
It begs 2 questions though. What would have happened had the Taiwanese not provided this massive injection in community-based projects? And secondly, is a parliamentary representative seeking funding from foreign governments because his own government is unable or unwilling to fund these projects?
There are always contending priorities in government, and so it makes it difficult. Something that I may place very high value on for my constituency, because of budget constraints and limited resources, we have to pick and choose and say, well, look, you can have either this one or that one. You choose the one that you think is of greater value for you.
Joseph admits that at times he's frowned upon by residents who are unaware of the sacrifices which have to be made to attend to roadworks.
I could not have paved the road because these $5 million that we had to do emergency walls and things to just keep the road open could have been used otherwise to do a lot of projects in my constituency.
The rains of 2010 and 2011 exposed one major shortcoming in the Bexar Road network because of its vulnerability to flooding. So, it was only fitting that the MP search for an alternate route linking Chopin to Bexar to alleviate the traffic hazards which occur when the area floods.
That is one of the shortest routes you can use to bypass the entire Bexar Valley and find yourself all the way down by Hess. You have options. So this is definitely a road that I will rehabilitate in the next term in office.
The road from Babono to Forester, which has been rendered impassable since Thomas, is also being rehabilitated and is expected to reopen shortly. The Bexar River caused incalculable damage to properties in Bexar and Mark during Thomas. The recovery efforts were further hampered by torrential rain shortly thereafter. In September 2011, unusually heavy rains again exposed the area's vulnerability to flash flooding. In a DBS News report, Timothy Mangal, the SLP's designated candidate for the area, chastised the current MP for what he calls the lack of foresight and mediocre recovery efforts which have exacerbated the problem.
It is unfortunate that after nearly 1 year post-Hurricane Thomas, that the government of St. Lucia has only given a piecemeal approach to the problems in Mark and in Bexar to do with this flooding. I believe that they failed the people, and I have said it before and I say it again, the Minister of Communication and Works is also the parliamentary representative for Castries Southeast. And he has not done so. He needs to, again, step up to the plate and deal with the problems in Castries Southeast.
The incumbent says he is not surprised that the opposition candidate is having a political feast with what he explains is an act of God. He took a moment to enlighten Mr. Mangal and to assure the residents of this low-lying area that the Bexar River has been desilted more than 12 times since the passage of Thomas, and flood mitigation works continue all along the river's course.
For those who say we have done nothing to mitigate against flooding in Bexar, it is clearly evident that they are not aware of what Bexar was like prior to Hurricane Thomas. This boulder packing and diversion of the river from the highway has assisted in reducing the flooding in this area. This area for decades have been flooding, and we have seen major improvements in the flow of water along the river in this particular area.